Okay guys, so I'm jumping quite a bit ahead here. Everything's going real smooth. Getting the caliper back on, not difficult at all. Let me take this off so I don't forget it up here. Um, Taking the caliper off of there and putting it on, real simple. Just don't forget to reconnect your brackets. Oop, sorry guys, don't forget to reconnect your brackets up in there. 25 on the front one, 25 foot-pounds the back one, I don't know, 10 15 I'd guess. And the caliper bolts was 81. I did 80 because my torque wrench does 80 or 82, and some of the numbers I saw that people were saying was 79, so looks like I'm right in the middle. When putting in the brake pads, this basically, imagine this is the new pad. On the back there was one shim already, and then what I did was I put the anti-vibration shim over the top of that, and then it's got the other metal shim on top of that. So if you look here, you can see there's the one shim up against the pad, and then the other two here. I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. Just the anti-vibration will keep it from squealing. But I did, I greased up the back of the pads and inside those shims with silicone grease, a decent coating, but you can see it's not squirting out the end, so I didn't go real heavy on it. I just basically painted the surfaces. And then on the slide pins, getting the slide pins in is fairly easy. Just lining up all those shims and the pads, the holes in the end there. On the slide pins, I used moly grease, again because there's no rubber to worry about here. But on that, you don't have to worry about this center section where the rotor's at, obviously. So you're just going to want to put some grease on each of the ends there where the pads will be sliding in and out. So which is, you know, about where the back end of it is to just a little bit before where the rotor passes the slide pin. And then on the bottom here, make sure that you put this clip in before you put the slide pin in, and it's kind of like that. So basically, once you get it in there, it should be this part should be pointing outward. If it's up against the rotor, you got it the wrong way. But then you're gonna push it back in and pop these guys, pop them into these holes here, and that'll lock that in place to where what that does is it keeps the pads from staying against the rotor. It's just kind of pushes them back apart. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there and put my little clips on the back of the caliper slide pins. Make sure you don't forget those, or your slide pins are gonna come flying out, and your brake pads too. And bolt down those brackets there. Make sure you do both of them, and that's really about it. After that, just double check everything, make sure you got everything nice and tight and like it should be, and you know, triple check it if you need. This is a really important thing, so if you have any doubt at all, go check it again, you know. And definitely don't just slap it together and then hope for the best, because you know, we all make mistakes. So when you double check it, you catch your own mistakes. Okay guys, so it's in. The spring clips here, the return spring, I think you might call it, the new one did not fit very well. It was kind of like it was twisted a little bit, so I did end up using the original one, but everything else looked good. On these little clips back here, those are awesome. They're so easy to get out. You just grab it with your fingers and pull it right out. I torqued these up 25 foot-pounds here. That felt great. And then this one here, I just did 10 foot-pounds or 120 inch-pounds. And that felt like more than plenty. So I think usually on bolts like this, I usually see like 84 inch-pounds or something like that. And 10 foot-pounds is 120 inch-pounds, so that's not a whole lot more, but it's a solid bracket that it's into. and it definitely didn't strip at all. So I'm gonna go do the other side, but I have a donation appointment, so I'm gonna go give some platelets. If you can do that, it's the easiest thing to do. It's the most amazing thing you can do. And you know, giving blood is awesome, but if you can do platelets, do that. It's even better. It's difficult to do. It takes a couple hours with a needle in your arm pumping blood in and out of you, but the way I see it is, it's a whole lot better than what the person who needs it has to go through without it. So it's an amazing thing you can do in the world. So if you have the ability and you're not too afraid, go donate. It's good for the world. Okay guys, so I'm rocking and rolling here on the passenger side. I got the caliper in, the brackets are in. On these I torqued the little one back there for the speed sensor to 10 foot-pounds or 120 inch-pounds. I couldn't find the torque, but that worked well. On this one I did 25 foot-pounds. Don't forget the clip back, where is it? Right back in there. Back there, there's a plastic clip that pops in for the speed sensor, so make sure you plug that in there. I got to go back to the other side because I did not. But the caliper on the back side of the caliper, those are going to be 81 foot-pounds. My torque wrench only goes by 2s, and I read a lot of 79s out there, people giving numbers, so I figured 79, 80, 81, it's all about the same, so I did 80. And on the caliper, make sure that you spread the pistons apart before you put it on, because otherwise you'll have to take it back apart. Yeah, I'm not saying that I did that, but you know, maybe I did. But the other thing is the spring. This is what I was talking about on the other side. If you look, the inner spring there is the new one, and the outer one is the old one. So, you know, it's wider, so obviously it's going to be under more spring tension. And if you can kind of tell, the ears on that new one are kind of rotated back, and so are the tabs at the end. So that one's not in very good shape. I don't know why they didn't get that right, because that's the first thing I've seen that wasn't excellent from that company. So maybe I'll have to tell them they need to fix their return spring there. I got my slide pins here to grease up, and the little clips, and my shims I got to grease up and put on the back of the pads. And I'm almost there. So afterwards, there's a little break-in procedure for these particular brakes. You have to do 5 aggressive decelerations, going from 40 down to 10 without letting the brakes cool in between, and then 5 moderate decelerations from 35 to 5, also without letting the brakes cool. It tells you not to stop during this, so you have to make sure you find somewhere where there's not going to be traffic, so that you don't have to stop. If you do have to stop, it says to make sure you leave space so you can keep rolling, because if you hold the brakes on, you may cause an imprint. But and then after that, you want to drive slowly for 5 minutes, trying not to stop. Just let the brakes cool down. It did say in this moderate deceleration part that you would probably smell some resin. So that's where they heat up, but then it lays down a nice layer on the rotors, and works really well. You'll be amazed at the difference between the stopping power before and after the break-in. Now, one thing I didn't mention that I wanted to mention is the drilled and slotted rotors. You know, some people say you don't need them. Definitely if you're towing, you do. These drilled and slotted rotors, the brake pads, when they're grinding against the rotor, it creates gases, and those gases are in between your pad and your rotor, so obviously affect your braking. Well, the holes and the slots allow that gas to escape out of there, so you do actually get better braking with these. So It's a little more, but you know, why not? You know, especially if you're doing your own brakes, you're already saving money, so might as well spend a little bit of it and do something nice. Okay, so I just wanted to touch back on this one because I ran into a little bit of trouble here. I wasn't unable to slide in the outer pad here between the caliper and the rotor looked really close to the front end of the caliper in the bracket there and far away from the back. So over here I just went ahead and put on a couple lug nuts and then cranked those down because there I could tell through the holes there that the rotor was not all the way back against it. Probably some of the rust was holding it up. So once I got that torqued down, not all the way torqued, but you know, just tightened down pretty good, real snug, then I was able to slide the pad in here. So now all I got to do is grease up the slide pins and throw on those little clips and then put the tire back on, and then time for driving. Okay guys, so this probably isn't going to be the best video. It's in the dark and I'm not very good at keeping the phone out of the light, but so I finished the break-in. When you start doing this, the brakes and the rotors, when they're brand new, it really does not feel right. They don't feel like they're stopping like they should, but by the time you finish the break-in and cool down, they brake really well. It's just they need that layer of the brake material on the rotors. And if you look inside here, I imagine you could see, but on the rotor, yeah, I don't know, yeah, in there on the rotor, you can see the material is, geez, I'm terrible at this. The material's like left a coating on there. There we go. Geesh. Yeah, so it's got a light coating of the resin on there, and that's what we're trying to get. You don't want it to be all smooth. You want it to have a layer of burned brake material, basically, because right towards the end of the break-in procedure, while you're doing the braking, the last little part, you'll smell the brakes burning, like the resin burning, and that's actually what you're doing, is getting it to that hot point to where it will deposit that layer on there. And once that's on there, then you let it cool down really well, which, you know, was that 5 minutes of driving. I think I went about 10 to 15 maybe, just to really let them cool down after I did all that braking. It's a little difficult. Make sure you're in a place where there's not traffic, because it's not really possible if there's traffic. Go out to the middle of nowhere, I guess, if you can. If you're in the city, it's going to be fun. Good luck. But I didn't really lay on them heavy because I wanted to let them cool all the way down. But even what I did do, just stopping, you know, in the last few stops before I got to the house, it really stopped well. But I really want to see what it's going to be like when I slam it, you know, just stomp on the brakes. But I think by how it feels now, I think it's going to be amazing. So I'm letting them cool, and then I'll just take it for a little drive and mash the brakes and see how they do. And, you know, after doing this, I'm kind of tempted to do the brake fluid. It's at, last I checked, it was just recently, and it was at 1.5% water. And 3% is where it's bad. So I think I'm just going to do it just to get the video. I don't necessarily need it done now, but, you know, let's make a video in case somebody else wants to do it. Maybe theirs is worse than mine is. Third generation, it could be all the way back to 2016. So I'm sure if you're 2016 and you haven't done the brake fluid, you're definitely due. So see you later.